Now, this part of sampling your products is really crucial. If you don't take anything else from this video, at least take this. What's up, my beautiful entrepreneurs? Are you trying to figure out how to test out your products? Do you have a particular product that you want to test, but you just don't know how to really go about it and how to really put that out in front of your customers? Well, I have you on this one. When it comes to testing out your products, there's a lot that goes into it. We're gonna test out a batch of body butter, and I'm gonna show you how you can use that to advertise to your customers and send out samples and really test out your products the way that you want. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into the video. Now, when it comes to testing out your product, you want to make sure that you're making a small enough amount for you to be able to figure out how you like the product, how the texture is, because you can figure this out in 2 ounces or you can figure this out in 20 ounces. When it comes to making a sample should be around 1 to 2 ounces or 56.669 grams, depending on what metric you're deciding to use. Okay, first let's go over the formula that I'll be using. Now, this is the formula that I used when I did the step-by-step how to make body butter video. Now, when it comes to making your body butter, you just want to make sure that you are making a sample size of at least 2 ounces. So that's what I'm going to be making here with this formula. Now, we're going to have our shea butter at 40%, then you have cocoa butter at 10%, unfractionated coconut oil at 25%, beeswax at 5%, stearic acid at 10%, and then we have our arrowroot powder, and this is going to be at 5%, and we're going to also have vitamin E, and this is at 1%. Now, I'm not adding fragrance in this because I'm just testing this out as if we're just trying to test out the texture of this particular formula. Once you have that set, then you can start to deduct from your arrowroot powder and your coconut oil so that you can get the fragrance percentage that you desire. Now, when you're making your test batch, you want to make sure that you're using a scientific scale because these are going to be really small measurements that you're going to be getting. So the big scale isn't going to really help you because you're not going to get it as accurate as you need. So you're just going to have a really small dish and you're going to use the scientific calculator to get the proper percents that you need for each ingredient. I will have the scientific scale linked down below for you as well so that you'll be able to grab that because this is really important, especially when you're trying to test. Now, I do have a formulation spreadsheet and I'll have it linked down below for you as well. With the formulation spreadsheet, it's going to help you itemize every ingredient that you're going to be using, and then you're going to also be able to put in each percent of each ingredient, and then you're going to put in how much it is you want to make. Whether that's 2 ounces or 100 ounces, it's going to convert those percents to what you need for each ingredient so that you won't have to worry about trying to calculate everything yourself, and you can just have that set formula always in your computer and just make a new tab so that you always know how much you need for that particular formula, especially if you end up walking away liking that particular formula. Now, I went ahead and just did that. I put in 2 ounces as my batch for this formula with all the percents that I discussed here as well. And after putting in everything, you're going to see that your shea butter is going to be at 0.8 ounces, your cocoa butter is going to be at 0.2 ounces, your coconut oil is at 0.5 ounces, beeswax is going to be at 0.1, and then your stearic acid is going to be at 0.2 ounces, and then you have your arrowroot powder at 0.1 ounce, and your vitamin E oil is going to be at 0.02. And after you're done and you put everything in, you want to make sure that all equals 100% and that it equals to the amount of ounces that you want. If that doesn't happen, that means that your percents are off or your batch is off. So you want to make sure that your percents are always correct and that it equals up to 100. So now that you know all the ingredients that you need and the metrics of everything that you're going to be using for this particular formula, you want to make sure that you put everything together just so that you can make the batch of body butter properly, and that you can figure out how the texture feels and how you like that particular formula. If you want a more step-by-step on on how to make this exact formula, I'll have that video linked down below so that you'll be able to watch that full step-by-step process, just so that you can make sure that you're making everything properly. Now, when I was making my test batch, I'm making it in such a small container that it doesn't matter necessarily to put it in the freezer. You can put it in the fridge at that stage once everything is melted and you want it to cool down before whipping. You can put it in the fridge, or you can leave it out so that it can start to cool down at room temperature, because that usually happens very, very fast because you're making such a small batch. But I do live in a very humid area, and if you also live in a humid area, you may want to put it in the fridge just so that it can solidify nicely, so that once you are able to whip, then you get those soft peaks that you're looking for very easily, versus when it's humid and it's still a little soft and you may not get those peaks, and it may be a little bit too oily for you to get the peaks that you're looking for. Now, when you're sampling, I know a lot of times when you're thinking about starting your business, you want to have the big KitchenAid mixer, but when you're just trying to sample out a product and you're just trying to sample out your body butter, all you need is a small hand mixer, and that's just what I use to sample this out, because the big mixers are going to be too big. It's not going to whip it properly. Trust me, I've tried it. It doesn't work. You're not going to be able to get those soft peaks because it's just not enough product in the bowl. But if you're going to just be using your hand mixer, then you'll really be able to get into the bowl properly. You'll get those soft peaks, and you're using such a small amount that you'll get that proper whip that you're looking for, and it'll get the soft peaks. Knowing your percentages, it really helps, because no matter if you make 2 ounces of this formula or if you make 100 ounces of this formula, it's going to be the exact same each time. And so that's why you want to know what your percents are, so that you don't mix up at 2 ounces or at 100 ounces. Now for a quick tip. When you are making your test batch, you don't want to transfer everything from one bowl to another. One thing that you'll notice that as you start to formulate is that transferring from bowl to bowl, you're going to lose some of your ingredients inside of that bowl. And so you want to make sure that you are getting the full texture, full measurement of everything that you're trying to make. So when you're getting ready to whip, just whip it in the same bowl that you melted everything in. Don't worry about trying to pipe and make everything look cute. You really just want to see what the texture is, making sure that it actually does whip up and it's fluffy and everything that you want it to be. But you don't need to worry about whether or not you can pipe it or how it looks piped. You just want to know what the texture is. Okay, so now how can you use your samples to really help your business, and how do you use this in a business aspect? The first thing that I really think that you should always do is make sure that you're using your samples and testing them with friends and family, even the coworkers that you may be really close with that you know will be interested in actually trying out your product. And your whole goal here is to understand how people are reacting to your products, how they like it or how they don't like it, and you want to make sure that you're taking note of everything that everyone tells you. And that's why it's really important to, again, have your percents, because then you can understand, okay, if it's too loose, or if they think it's too thick of a texture, what can I remove, what can I add to really make this formula a lot better so that the texture is a lot more smooth. It's not going to be a lot of money for you to put out, because this is a small sample that's 2 ounces, and really they're just trying it. And from them trying it, they can either decide to purchase it once you launch, or they know someone that's going to need that product. I know that when I was testing and I was giving it out to my friends and family, I know that a lot of people I knew were struggling with eczema or having really, really dry skin, because a lot of my connects were in Colorado, which is a very, very dry climate. So I had a lot of people that were a lot more interested in the eczema aspect of the product, and that's where I got a lot of my business from, depending on what it is that people are saying it will really help them with. And that's how you can start to advertise, that's how you can start to create testimonials around your product. Now, this part of sampling your products is really, really crucial. If you don't take anything else from this video, at least take this part of the video. When you are sampling, you want to make sure that when you are testing out your products, you aren't going from 10 ounces of cocoa butter to 5 ounces of cocoa butter. That's a huge change to make in your formula. If you want to make an adjustment to an ingredient, go from 10% to 8%, or even just going to 9%. 1% can make a huge difference in your overall formula, especially when it comes to body butter. So you want to make sure you're not making such a huge drastic change. And I want you to think about this in a sense of like baking, or sometimes even cooking. When you're baking, if you add, too much butter or not enough enough butter or not enough flour, that can really drastically change the way your cookie comes out, the way your cake comes out, whatever it is that you're making. It can really change the texture, the feel of your particular baked good that you're making. So you want to make sure that you're not making such a huge drastic change in your formula that it's a completely different formula. You want to make sure that you are just taking the formula that you have and making small adjustments to each ingredient so that it's not drastically changing the overall texture of your formula. Now we're gonna get into more of the businessy side here of making your formulas, because we are entrepreneurs, so we need to get to the business. Now, when it comes to making your product, you wanna understand how is it going to ship from one place to another. Now, I know this is a little pricey, but this is really good for you to understand how your products ship from one place to another. Now, again, I'm here in Texas. I have a lot of family in Colorado, so I shipped a lot to my family so they can test it out. And I also wanted to see how it shipped, from one place to another, how it held up, especially during the summertime, to see how it melted, because I was going through a shift in my formula to find a formula that would be better suited for the summertime. So I wanted to ship it out to see how it would react in the summertime with it being so hot, and just to see how my packaging was and how that was going to ship. So it's very important to understand how your packaging is coming out and how it is going out to people, because I had sent out a body oil to one of my friends in Colorado, and when I had shipped out the box, it had too much empty space. Like I had the packing peanuts in there, but there was too much space in the box, so everything was rummaging around. So when it was going through shipping and everything, the bottle ended up bursting. So when she got it, there was oil all over her box, there was oil all over her products. Now she wasn't able to even try out the oil, so I felt really bad, so I sent her out another one. But this is a really great way for you to see how your products are going to be shipped out, see how you can test out how you are shipping your products to make sure that stuff like that doesn't happen. Luckily, that happened to a great friend of mine. We've been friends since we were kids, so she was understanding, but that may not be the same case, if this happens to a customer, someone that doesn't know you and someone that's just taking a chance on you and your products. You want to make sure that they are getting the best experience possible, and you don't want something like that to happen. So test in every aspect, not just your products, but also how your products are being shipped from around the country. Testing out your products can be really the simple part of all of this process, but you want to understand the step-by-step process of how to actually make the product. Watch this video here where I go step-by-step on how to make body butter from start to finish. It is really jam-packed with a lot of great ways to make sure that you have consistency in your product, and I'll catch you in the next one.